Hey everybody, welcome back to Work in Progress, the live show from Reno Collective about work, life, and everything in between. My name is Colin.
And my name is Rachel. Welcome back.
Yeah,
We took a little hiatus last week,
life
every
happens.
once in a while.
Work,
Yes.
work progressed, life progressed, and this
Yes.
is episode 36, which I think
Yep.
is basically half a year's worth of
Yeah.
weeks at this point.
Oh, yeah. It's exactly half a year worth,
Yeah,
right? 36 plus 36. Nope, that's not. No,
that's not
26.
26.
Oh
Well,
my
we've
God.
passed the halfway point,
So
and it's the
close,
end of the
though.
day, so I can't do
Yeah.
math. But
All right. We're at the two-thirds point,
yeah.
but yeah,
So
you
we're
know,
we're gonna keep going until 52 for sure. But
exactly. Yeah. Math is hard.
it is. So hopefully
So
everybody's doing good out there this week. What are we talking about?
so we're talking about a couple of things today. We ourselves here at the Reno Collective are sort of slowly moving into having people return to the space, having our current members that are feeling comfortable come back to the space. But not everybody is ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear that going on. We've been talking about hybrid work, about people who, if they're ready to get out of the home and they want to work from somewhere else, like a co-working space, while their office is still closed, and how they can do that type of hybrid. Well, sometimes the different people in one team are working in different locations. So we've always had experience with people who are remote employees and they call in or they zoom in, they conference in, and there's a certain way and certain things that are helpful and ways that work. But for a lot of people, having team members that aren't in the same place could be really interesting. So there might be some people at home, or some people still, or some, I'm sorry, some people returning to their physical space, and then other people that are working from home. And so how that might work, and teams sort of in general as well, just working in a team, even if you are all in the same place, some of those best practices and such.
Yeah, I think this one's harder to do an underrated, overrated one on this
Mm-hmm.
one. But yeah, we've reopened to our members, and it's been interesting to see because I mean I think that one of the big differences between returning to the collective and returning to a normal office where you are employed is that we are requiring the vaccine
Mm-hmm.
in order for people to return, which allows us to not have to work with masks.
Yeah.
And we made that for a lot of reasons, but the big one is just to remove any doubt, hesitation. And if you can't have the vaccine right now, for whatever reason, then we're just asking that you bear with us and you're basically continue working from home for now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
and obviously all those things are going to change, but I think for
Mm-hmm.
most of our members, remote work was something that they were already used to pre-pandemic. And if you're coming into the space versus working from home, you're still
Yeah.
remote from your team for most people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and some of those teams don't necessarily look like the normal, like a formal team where everyone's employed by the
Right.
same person. They might be a collection of freelancers, or
Mm-hmm.
so they
Yep.
might be a team for a few weeks. They might be a team for a certain project, but they might not
Right.
be a team forever.
Right. Exactly. Less of a employee employer type team and more of a um, collaborator type team, which we
Yeah.
talk about a lot here at the collective. Is That's one of the most, I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of working here, is watching, helping to facilitate those collaborations, and then also watching them happen. Talking to a member today and reviewing a website that she's working on, and she mentioned, oh, I hired so and so, I'm bringing so and so, and
Mm-hmm.
it's even during the pandemic,
Yeah.
to see those collaborations still happening is really exciting. But that was a little side note, so anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, as a space, though, we've kind of developed that reputation for having
Mm-hmm.
people who can do things. What's more interesting is that those people they're more busy than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And so when someone comes to us needing their WordPress site fixed,
Mm-hmm.
we don't always have someone right now. And so that's, if you're out there and you're looking for what should I be doing next, like anything that you can do on a computer remotely, right now you're in need. So whether it's
Mm-hmm.
even photography, videography, I know Mike's work's picking back up, and then we've got
Yeah.
if it's WordPress, e-commerce, Shopify, that kind of stuff, there's a lot of pent up demand for it, and some
Yep.
of those businesses are doing really well, like online e-commerce and things like that. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the idea of returning to work, as a lot of people are calling it, um, I still think it doesn't seem like all of a sudden those things are going to drop because we've all gotten used to doing a lot of things online, so purchasing and such. And yeah, I wonder if those things are going to take as big of a dive and go back to where they were, 2 years ago, or if we're going to, create a new plateau that is still pretty heightened as far as online purchasing and such. But yeah, those types of companies are definitely on the lookout for people.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
so advertise your skills, people.
I'd say, yeah, if you're having a hard time figuring out what you want to do next, and I think the pandemic has done that for a lot of people, made them rethink what they were working on, what they were focusing
Yeah.
on, and to be honest, most of the freelancers went full time. I think we've had most of our freelancers go full time. I went full time last
Mhm.
February, and so it's just very different. So I can kind of talk to our team. So like as an experience, so like I joined in February of 2020, was in person in the office I think for like 3 weeks,
Ah,
and we were still figuring out what tools we wanted to use. I think we were already using Asana at that point. So we use Asana today for most of our organizing of like day-to-day tasks, but then we do use certain tools that if you've worked in a team or worked at a larger company, you may be familiar with things like OKRs,
mm,
which are objectives and key results. So we do quarterly OKRs that then all the individual things that we're doing day to day ideally track to one of those OKRs, so that you or your team, it might be, someone might be the owner of an objective or a key result, but
right.
there might be a whole team effort to getting that thing done. And our team is small, so it's 5 or less people, and so it doesn't make sense to have more than 5 objectives when there's only 5 people.
Yeah,
Um, but sometimes it might feel like in a startup, it feels like there's like 100 objectives at any given time. So
right.
it's just an interesting tool to kind of focus, because time's going to go by, and you're going to wonder what did you do with that time. And so being able to focus on them, the next quarter we're going to pick another 5, and then the next quarter we'll pick another 5, and you're essentially trying to figure out what are the most meaningful objectives that might move the business forward. And I know
Right.
Asana is a really popular one. I think the other one that's
Hmm.
gaining popularity is called ClickUp. I know, like,
Oh.
I think Stu and Mutations. A lot of our members are starting
Mm.
to use that. So if you're looking for tools specifically around remote work and project management and all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
definitely check those too.
So so that's interesting. When you were all in person, was there anyone that was not in person before the pandemic? Was anyone remote before the pandemic?
Before, we had an intern she would work at home on occasion, but she would also come
Okay.
in. And then
Okay.
now we actually have someone in Washington. So
Oh.
I've not seen her in person ever. So
Mm-hmm.
she came on during the pandemic, and we actually acquired her company. And then let's see, so now we're pretty much remote, except for we do e-commerce, so we have fulfillment. So we have one person who is in the office doing fulfillment, which felt safe because she was the only one in there. But you do
Yeah.
run into that risk of the advantages or people maybe not feeling included when there's like one person who has to go into the office all the time, and then everyone
Mm-hmm.
else is away from it. But she
Right.
probably has the best work-life balance out of all of us too. So
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, and that's one of the things is that there's finding the work-life balance. And then there's also, I remember when, for me, it was very lonely when was working from home, or well, I was coming into the space, but there was no one here. And so it was sort of like working from home, but I was working from the space without anyone. Um, the sense of like, kind of feeling alone, you could still Zoom and you could call, but everybody was really busy. So you couldn't, there wasn't really an inclination to like, hey, just checking in. You like want a cup of coffee and we'll sit back and chat. I didn't do that very often. And I'm
Yeah.
sure some people did, right? But there's that sense that happens in teams when some people are there and some people aren't, and how you fill in those gaps of like pre-meeting while we're getting the Zoom set up so that we can chat with the person who's in, say Washington.
Right.
What are we all talking about? Right. And so like some of that, I don't know, that the undercurrent of team building that may or may not be there, depending on if you're in the physical room. But I think so many of like now we have so much so much experience with trying to team build and work on relationships via Zoom that maybe that can come with us into the new era post pandemic of how we can develop those relationships and grow even if we're not in the same room. Um,
Yeah, you're kind
yeah.
of touching on two things. So there's the team building
Mm-hmm.
aspect, and then there's the not in the room aspect. So a lot of people in, especially in startups, believe that you either do full remote or all in person.
Ah.
Because if you do both, and this is something that this is a bias that you have to HR and your team has to focus on, is even if it's not intentional, there's just conversations that happen, there's access that
Mm-hmm.
happens when you're in the space,
Mm-hmm.
and the other person who's not in the space just doesn't have those. And so it might over time it may reflect in different um, pay raises,
Mm-hmm.
promotions, just because you're more visible and you're more top of mind. And so some
Right.
people don't think that having that, like, or doing that little, like, oh, it's optional, but don't worry if you can't come in, which is also like slightly like a little bit of a guilt trip there,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are testing that right now, where it's like, oh, don't come in, asterisks.
Yeah. Yeah,
But really you should
exactly.
come in if you're serious about your work, type of thing. And that's going to be
Right.
unfortunate. And then the other one is the team building thing. So pre-pandemic, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fully remote teams were doing a really good job of, this is a great expense, but when compared to paying for an office and paying for a lot of the things that you normally would have, is that they would fly everyone to an
Right.
offsite and
Mm-hmm.
do some sort of in-person event. And so that I think we're going to see a lot more of, especially
Mm-hmm.
since people didn't get to travel. Some people
Right.
still haven't met their teammates in person, especially if they've
Right.
joined.
Right.
And so you'll see a little bit more of that. And bigger companies, I mean, they basically have budgeted for that. They know that they're not paying for, an office and utilities and cleaning crews. They're probably paying for work from home setups for people and then flying them out
Right.
for things like that. I know like Mozilla, um, they've worked with us on some of our Reno Collective events because they do this thing where they do I can't even remember, it's
Family day.
Family Day, right?
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
Family Day they have in-person events, but for everyone who's remote they give them a stipend to basically host a Mozilla Family Day in their own city and so we've been able to
Mm-hmm.
do that as a Reno Collective Mozilla Family Day, which has been fun to do.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Those are the big barbecues on the front lawn, which are, like in the grass, summertime, and the kids and the families come. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are really fun.
Thanks, Firefox.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's funny when I think for some reason when I think about like who's on the team and who's not in those situations, I think back to an episode of Friends where Rachel pretends to be a smoker so that she can get the promotion, like goes
Oh,
out to
right.
smoke with the boss in order, like trying to get the one up by smoking out in the roof or wherever it
It's
was. And
the in
yeah,
crowd.
yeah, yes, exactly. And all those little moments that might get missed.
Yeah.
Um, and those moments that get missed when things are just text, you're just in regular communication, like texting versus a phone call or versus an in-person meeting. But yeah, a lot of um the sort of community building that we depended on as the collective was in person, even though a lot of our people who were in our community were working for companies that were not in person. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, they were remote, and so we were trying to build and, well, trying to facilitate, really, because you can't really build a community unless you are the community. You can't tell them what to do. They do what they're going to do. But facilitating that community of people who were away from where that central hub might be,
Mm-hmm.
and then how that's going to look now that those hubs have been working well, hopefully well. I mean, I know some people have not been enjoying,
Yeah.
doing remote work and such, but if they're going to translate that to online continually, or if it's going to drop off to again being remote work, you check in a couple times, but otherwise you're remote, and this is the on, the like on the ground, or the in-person team, and
Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
think the hybrid that I think we'll see, and people are saying this is going to happen, and we're starting to see it with some companies. But you said hub, but this hub and spoke model
Right.
of maybe smaller headquarters and more
Mm-hmm.
distributed suburban offices. So like think of a Microsoft having a big campus here,
Mm-hmm.
Intuit having a big campus here, and maybe they own their building, maybe not. We don't know what the situation is, but I could see them having a smaller space, that those spaces more designed for collaboration and like those like offsites and retreats where the room might get booked by a team for a week, but then a different team the following week,
Right.
and everyone does their stuff at home, which is when you're getting most of your heads down time. If you, here's the other asterisk, don't have kids at home, aren't trying to
Yeah.
teach remote learning during a global pandemic, and
Yep.
also don't have spouses and other people trying to also get work done at home. So there's a lot of qualifiers there, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. But that hub and spoke idea, especially in a big city, like San Francisco, so you have people that are commuting from everywhere else other
yeah,
than just downtown, right? And if you have an office that is downtown, you've got the Marin people and the San Jose people and all everybody coming in. Whereas you could save time and energy and creativity of your employees if you're not demanding that they come into town with that entire commute. And sometimes it's
every day.
based
Yeah,
on, yeah, every day. And then also, the amount of money, the cost to live downtown or to live central, which nowadays I'm not entirely sure how that balances out now, but the cost to live central is generally more expensive than to live further out, or it's smaller space, or for all those reasons. And so why not gather those people in those sorts of pods to make the spokes, so you've got the hub and the different spokes. But I don't know, I guess they're just, in saying that, I'm thinking, oh, and then you have like the office of the teammates that are all from one area. So if they're all from, like, does it become like the right sides of the track? Like, these guys are from the expensive suburb and these guys are from the not so expensive suburb. I guess that could get a little strange, but
yeah,
the concept of hub and spoke makes sense.
definitely. Well, and I got the perfect segue into our next topic, which
Oh,
is
nice.
how big a team should be. So Jeff Bezos from Amazon has what he calls the two pizza rule,
Oh, man.
and the every internal team should be small enough that it can be fed with two pizzas is the rule. So his argument is that a smaller team, ends up spending less time managing time tables and
Mm-hmm.
projects and keeping people up to date because you don't have this like monolith of, this black box of they're working on that over there. We don't know how it's going. It's small
Yeah.
enough that everyone knows where the project is,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's 6 or 7 people max per team. Obviously, like again at Panty Drop we're less than that, so we could all be fed by less than 2 pizzas. But
Right.
at some point, you end up splitting the teams so that like we do daily stand up. That would take a long time if you're doing updates every single morning with more than 6 people, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people start to bog down on like not enjoying daily stand up when it's like tuning out or just too big.
Mm-hmm.
And so, our next topic is pizza,
It is pizza. Now I'm really hungry.
and we don't have any pizza with us right now, unfortunately.
No, we don't. Oh,
But
hold on.
we might have to
Messing
do
around with my equipment. Okay,
Arena
here we go.
Collective Pizza Day. But pizza
Yeah.
underrated, overrated. This is I think a complex
It
topic.
is a complex topic because there's so many types of pizza and they're so different. I I don't know. During we got into a habit where we with the kids on Fridays would be pizza and a movie. And we started that when, everything got shut down and we were at home.
Hmm.
And it was something to look forward to and also to mark the weekend, rather than, oh, now you don't have to do any schoolwork.
Were
It's
you
just like
ordering
something.
or making pizza?
We started by Actually, we started with take home um, from a local place here, Liberty.
Mm.
So Liberty did, you could do regular crust, regular dough or gluten-free dough, and it came raw. And then the cheese, and you had to rip it up yourself. Pepperoni was sliced, and then the sauce came in containers. And it was pretty cute. They came in like pizza boxes, so you bought like the kit, and very simple, like that's all that it was, but it was a lot of fun. But we kind of burned out on it, so it became like everyone's making pizza. Okay, everyone's making pizza. Yep, we're having pizza, so come help. To mommy's making pizza by herself.
Yeah.
Like, guess what, now we're gonna buy it and cook it in the oven somewhere else. Like, I'm done making pizza by myself. Yeah, but now we get like frozen ones, and yeah,
Gotcha.
because I'm
Oh,
over it.
so you didn't go the other direction of making your own dough
No,
and your
not do
own
that.
sauce and I
No,
guess not making your own cheese, but so I
but you
think
could
it's
mozzarella.
it's a little easier to do underrated overrated on pineapple on pizza.
I love pineapple on
I do too.
pizza. Oh,
Two for
yay!
two. So I'd say underrated.
I love it when it's like hot on the outside and it's cold on the inside. Fresh. They can't. I think the one time that I prefer like canned pineapple because it
Yeah.
just keeps a better shape. I don't know. It's not so wet. I don't know, but for sure, I love pineapple. Um, so okay, you were talking about the different types, and there were a few that I had no idea about. So I think, well, I hope. So Chicago, right? Famous for deep dish,
Yep.
which until I actually went to Chicago, I thought it meant like, Pizza Hut had a deep dish. I remember that as a kid, those little personal pan pizzas when you did the reading thing. But deep dish in Chicago is like completely upside down and so weird. To this day, I still don't even understand, like, why would they have put the sauce on top? So deep dish, right? And then New York, that really thin. But turns out there's a Detroit, a St. Louis, a Greek. So educate us.
Yeah, so the Detroit one is tends to be square, and I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
why, but I guess it was like actually made in like automotive pans.
I love that.
Um, what's weird though, like the Pizza Huts and the Little Caesars and all those, they are always coming out with some sort of marketing machination of a pizza, right? They're like, we put the inside on the outside, or the
Right. Yes,
so
cheese
a
stuffed
lot of
and
they do a lot. I think both of them have a Detroit style, very square, pretty thick crust pizza. Um,
mhm, okay.
so that one's Detroit, and then I, of course, lost my tab here, but you
Oh,
have New York pizza tends to be the huge slice, the thin
yes, huge
slice.
and thin. And then
You gotta
when
eat
you
it. You gotta you
like,
get a slice and you're gonna eat it over the trash can and
yeah,
in the diner, or you're gonna take it and roll it up and eat it as you go.
yeah, you gotta kind of like fold it in half. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like way too big on a, yeah. Um, well, and then so one of the places in town, I think a few of them do it now, but I think it's Noble, where you can get it cut different ways.
Hmm.
Is it Noble?
I didn't
Someone
know
does
about
it
that.
where you can get a circle. All their pizzas are circular, but they'll cut it in squares. So like a tic-tac-toe board, only more toes and ticks or something, whatever. And then you can get it cut like a regular, like a pie, or you can get it done random. And that one, they like just run the cutter all over the place. So the sizes aren't,
I don't know
they're
who
like
that's for. I don't
uneven
know who that's
sizes.
for.
No, I don't know.
Who is that for? What
Kids,
are
I
we trying
guess.
to do here? Yeah,
I don't know. Entertainment.
I guess.
Like,
We're like, I
I don't know.
want.
The guy cutting the pizza's drunk. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. Oh man, I can't remember where those were. Wonder if they were noble.
So Mike says that he gets the ready to stretch dough from Winch. I'm assuming that's Winco. I don't know
Oh,
what Winch
okay.
is.
Wait, what? Ready to
uh,
stretch and bake.
Very
Okay.
good. Yeah, they have those at
Nice.
Trader Joe's too. That's if
Yep.
we're gonna go easy mode, we'll do that. We haven't gotten into the making our own dough, but I know it's like it's 2 or 3 ingredients, right? How hard can that be?
I I'm sure. I'm when we would make it as
Flour, water,
kids,
oil.
I think we used I think my mom used like a biscuit recipe
It's a very
that
thick pizza, huh?
yes it was. And you put it out in like a square cake pan. And so it was, I guess, like sort of a deep dish thing. But yeah, I remember looking back, like, man, I think it was a
I
biscuit
was like,
because
that's
it
like a
was
pot pie or
thick.
something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
And
we've
then we
also
graduated to Boboli.
oh, Boboli. Yeah. It's now getting to the point where I can't do an episode without mentioning David Chang, but he has
Sorry.
replaced James Clear
Yes.
and Atomic Habits. But there's a podcast called Recipe Club, and they do an entire episode on Boboli. And
Oh wow.
each chef has to do something with Boboli, and they all have to make it. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious
I
because
mean, it
they do
was
talk about it. Like it is not cheap to buy Boboli, and it's shelf
no.
stable, which is super strange for what it is.
Yep.
And they get into that. But we have Neapolitan pizza. We
Hmm.
did Chicago, New York to Sicilian pizza, Greek pizza,
So
California pizza.
now, okay, those all seem to me like very thin crust type pizzas,
Yeah, I
I
think
would
these
assume.
ones are we're getting down to the like it depends on what you put on top, which
Ah,
is that I mean
okay.
that point you can call these whatever you want. I think the one though that if you're really interested in pizza, there's another show called Ugly Delicious. They do an entire episode on pizza where they go to Italy. They look at what they go to a pizzeria that's like a pizza is this, and if it's not this,
Yeah.
then it's not pizza. And then he even goes and starts serving. He's like delivering food, pizza for Domino's in the same episode, and so it was a good thing because Domino's they make pizzas. They're famous for like the pizza tracker, the little app
Yes.
that shows you where your
Yes.
pizza's at, and
Right.
it was really interesting to see how they make their pizzas and how how much work goes into those. But and then there's
Hmm.
the you were talking about this with Mark Esty has the stamp of approval from I'm not going to remember the name of it, but to be a true Neapolitan
Yeah, and I can't remember what it is either,
pizza.
but yeah, they had a local restaurant here and had the entire oven shipped over and did the specialty pizzas that way. I mean, I remember when I was, post college backpacking in Europe, because it's a privileged life, and we'd you go to like these little window stalls to get pizza, and they were these huge like cookie sheet tray sizes, and they cut them in long strips, like the size of a brick, and then they would fold it in the middle, wrap a paper towel or wrap a thing on the bottom, and then you took it that way. So I think what you had said before was like, like a pizza sandwich. It
Yeah.
was like, what are those things now? Panini. I guess that was sort of what they look like. It was like a panini, like it got folded up, except it was attached at the
They got
bottom. It wasn't a
paninis. They got
separate.
you got
Yeah.
calzone. If you
Calzone. There we go. There we go.
yeah,
Well,
I'm not gonna try to pronounce this because it's in Italian, but
oh,
there's regulations for what a true
man.
Napolitana pizza, I guess, and you have to like your cheese has to come from a certain place. The sauce
Uh-huh.
and then and
Wow.
everything is like very specific, and some chefs go through this process. A lot of people think this is like too strict and like you're just making the same thing that someone's always made just because it's like we're afraid to change it. Versus like,
Champagne.
hey, it's very similar to that, right?
Yeah.
Where and part of it is their import export and them trying to protect their
Hmm.
export of mozzarella from a certain part of
Yeah.
the world. So
That makes sense. Well, I do think you found the most interesting story, which I had not heard of, but apparently it came out last week,
mm-hmm.
the volcano pizza. And I think this person is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we'll share a link to that.
Yeah. So the guy, and he was, where was it? Was Guatemala? I
Guatemala,
forget.
yeah, he's been making pizzas on, I think it's 1800-degree lava flows.
Right, which you do,
If you want a
and
crispy crust.
it's like, I swear one of the clips that showed it, he was making it with shredded mozzarella, and I could swear the brand on the bag was Kirkland. So I guess it's not the Neapolitan way, or the Napolitano way. That sounds like, isn't there a Supreme Court justice named Napolitano? Um, so he's making it, but there's literally rocks moving by where he puts the pan down because there is fresh magma underneath these rocks, and they're
Yeah, and
sitting there eating
he's
it.
not wearing that much in the way of protective equipment either. Not that there's really
Right.
that much you can wear
Well, there
to.
isn't, but then the top of the pizza cooked somehow.
Oh, it's that
Like,
hot. I mean, it's like
but how
being
did
anywhere
he
near
put
it.
the pizza down and pick it up without
Yeah,
heat
check
protective?
out the video. There's a what was it? It wouldn't even be as hot necessarily, but that you have the suits that you've seen in movies
Yes.
and stuff like that that
Oh
you
yeah.
expect him to be wearing, but he's not.
Yeah.
There was I don't even know what those are, with like a flame retardant suit, but there was like
Mm-hmm.
at Burning Man they usually have people who are doing fire stuff that are like in the fire wearing that. And
Yeah.
it's probably not where you want to be even if you're wearing that suit, but
No.
so I guess to wrap it up, how we can talk about two things: favorite places to go get pizza in town, and how do you hold it, or how
Ah,
do you eat it?
I eat it by hand, except for the Chicago stuff. Chicago pizza is too much stuff. It's too much. It's like a block of cheese that you have to eat with a fork and a knife. But oh, I don't know. There was I'm not super picky, but I've tried pizza at a bunch of different places that I liked, but I did not like one place that shut, so that was a plus. I, there was one really bad pizza place in town, but I don't remember the name of it, and it shut. I don't know. There's a bunch of places. The one by the university, JJ's, always serves honey with their pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I've never. I don't like pizza dipped in ranch. I don't like crust dipped in honey.
Yeah, they do honey wild garlic too. If you like wood
Oh,
fired pizzas, South Creek pizza is really good.
they are very good. Yes, I've been out. I
Um,
haven't been out there in a
I haven't.
while.
I don't know how's Liberty with their
Liberty's
pizzas.
good. It's like a thin crust. I like them. And
Mm-hmm.
then one of our favorites, because it has a great outside area, is Eclipse.
Yeah,
And they're down this sort of
Mayberry area.
northwest, west, exactly west in Mayberry. Yeah, Mayberry and
Yeah, I think
McCarran.
Noble has like the most, not like they're the most well known pizza now in town. I
Mm-hmm.
know, or even like a wild garlic, wild onion. Wild onion used to be a thing that
What?
burned down,
Yes.
and I think they've reopened. Or blind onion was what it was.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
blind onion and my pie is what Mike said. So
Oh,
I just
so
like.
you
I
mean
mean, I
my
like.
pie is in his own, or my pie is a place?
That's a good question.
We'll see if he responds in real
That's a
time.
good question. Sizzle pie, yeah. So he said had sizzle pie today, and that was
Oh,
good. That
that's
one they have a lot of
right.
vegan options if that's your thing.
They do. Yeah. Now that's right here downtown,
Yeah,
right? Is that
that's
Sizzle?
it's a
Yeah.
Portland pizza.
That's right. Yeah,
So
pizza's good.
hipster pizza.
Hipster pizza. It comes with a handlebar mustache.
Um, so we were also going to talk about board games, but instead we decided to just talk about the other two since we
Yeah.
already talked about board games a few weeks ago. We
Yep.
can maybe
Although,
bring it back around to some D&D or something in the
yeah,
future.
I in researching board games, I did end up buying two new games. So I'll give you the lowdown on those. I bought Exploding Kittens, which
Yep.
is apparently like a friendly Cards Against Humanity, like family friendly sort of Cards Against Humanity.
Yep.
So
From the oatmeal, right?
oh yeah, oh okay, oh, okay. Because I was like, it looked familiar. And then also one of those. It's like pickup sticks. It's except they lean on each other, and it's like these wires that are kind of bent in the middle, and they float and lean, and you're supposed to pop them off. And anyway, so
Mike
I'll share
says
next time.
my pie is a place. So
My pie is a place. All
I've not
right.
heard of that one.
Ah, we'll find it. Well, I hope everyone's ready to eat. It's dinner time at our in our part of the world. Yeah, so pizza, underrated, definitely. Overrated, easily can happen. If you have the same thing too much, anything can be overrated.
Yeah, so hopefully go get some pizza this either tonight, this weekend.
Yes.
Enjoy a 3-day weekend if you've got it.
Yep.
And we'll catch you next week.
All right. Take
Cool.
care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.